Are you struggling with feeling stuck in your life journey? Does it seem as if the challenges or conflicts that you keep experiencing are on repeat? Healing through feeling could be your new way through to a more satisfying life. Now, here is the host of the Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show, licensed marriage and family therapist and life guide, Sharyn Nichols.
Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to be here today. Today's show is What's in Your Vat? I'm Sharyn Nichols, and you're listening to the Inspired Choices Network and my show, Feel to Heal. What is in your vat? A vat is a very large open container for holding or storing liquid. I'm assuming here that most of you/us have felt ourselves at time swimming, treading water, almost drowning and not being able to breathe, and swimming towards the horizon to see if there's a way out of the vat that we're in. So I chose this topic because I was working on decluttering my computer and my room and my house and everything, because, letting go of things is always a great way to allow new things to come in. So I wrote this piece, and I was meditating on Michael Beckwith's quote, "The pain pushes until the vision pulls," because that I just kept hearing, and it was one of my ruminating thoughts. And so I decided that I should probably write on it, and I did. So for years, I was swimming and almost drowning in a huge vat of pain. There would be times when someone would swim to me, and we'd swim side by side and and there'd be times where I would swim to the edge, because sometimes the vat was small and sometimes the vat was vast, and I'd swim to the edge and I'd have a conversation. I'd be looking out and I'd be like, I want to get out. And maybe I would ask, probably most of the time I didn't ask for help getting out. I just continued to stay and swim and swim. And it would be a good distraction, because sometimes then I wouldn't have to worry about whether I was going to drown, knowing that there was somebody next to me that would save me from drowning. And the whole time, though, I wasn't really addressing what was going on. It was just more of me going around in circles. Now I envision the shark, how it circles around the boat. I have a feeling that, there was probably a shark in my waters. So every so often, though, I would find myself in the shallow place. Like I would be able to actually stand. Although the vat was, the walls would come down, although there was still water. And I would have to walk so far to step out of the vat that I just stood there. Yes, it was easier to breathe, although I was still stuck in the vat. I was still stuck in my own way. And there would be times where I'd find myself staring off at the horizon, making it so large, like it was so far away, that it would just feel as though it was so insurmountable that I would continue to stay stuck, because it would just take me so long to actually get out of this. And then it also felt, oh, wow, this is actually really comfortable, because sometimes the water was actually warm and inviting and comfortable, even though, of course, I was getting myself exhausted because I'm constantly moving. And then there were those moments, of course, where I would just stop and float. The floating, the inaction. I'm assuming most of you have experienced the inaction, when you just know that there's something else going on that you're just not participating in. So after years of treading and being in this liquid, I finally realized that I could actually make the walls lower and bring the vat in and make it actually as small as I wanted. So I did. I decided it was time for me to stop swimming and living in this vat of pain that only just kept bringing me down, and it never made me feel good about myself. And I wasn't always fun to be around because I was just caught up in my ruminating thoughts of me not being good enough. The not good enough gene, another thing I talk about. Anyway, moving on. It was if by magic a ladder appeared leaning up against the wall. So, walls have gone up and down and up and down, and now there's a ladder. Who would have thought? I mean, how easy would it have been for me just to have a ladder there the entire time? It wasn't until I decided it was time for me to get out of the vat that I climbed up the ladder and came out the other side and landed quite comfortably, I will say, on the other side. Now I'm frozen. What do I do? What do I do now? I had been safe in the prison of my own making, and now I have another vastness, granted not a vat, but I have my whole life in front of me and ahead of me. What am I going to do? So in my visualization, I start putting one foot in front of the other, and I just take baby steps, little ones, the little baby steps. And then all of a sudden, I turn around and I realize that I've gone like 4 or 5 huge steps. And I'm like, wow, oh my, I can actually do this. I actually start to feel better about myself because I am now taking control of my own movement. I'm not stuck. I'm now moving forward, and I'm doing it slowly and easy for me because I'm not trying to bite off more than I can chew. So it was definitely much easier for me to breathe, but it was now harder for me to move. Even though I was taking little baby steps, I was still tethered to the vat. It was still a part of me. And slowly, though, again, the cord that was attached started to fray from overuse because I'm pulling on it and pulling on it and pulling on it. Not with the same degree that I was swimming in the vat, because I knew that there was an end in sight, that by me pulling and tugging, eventually this would start to fray and break down and make it easier for me to move about. And then I realized that it was no longer attached to me and that I was actually moving freely. Oh my, I didn't have this thing that I'd been carrying, that I'd been in and then been carrying, was no longer a part of me. The freedom, the air smelled so different. The breathing, my breathing was so much easier. And I was so grateful to myself that I climbed up the ladder and that I jumped over the side. Again, not knowing what I was going to land on. I'm assuming that you have all visualized something similar to this for yourselves, because visualizations are everywhere. And for me, it was about using this visualization to support myself. And I so often have shared this visualization with all of my clients. And the last piece that I always leave with is, I always know where the vat is. I can always see it way off in the distance. And whenever I need it, because sometimes I just need to feel crappy, and I need to just feel warm in my vat, I can always go to it and I can get in it. And then I also always know how to get out. I am so grateful that I've gotten out and that I am now actually looking at my life differently, that I'm no longer stuck, no longer holding on to and allowing my past to predict my future. I now keep taking baby steps because I realize that that is the best way to support myself. So I recommend baby steps. We think we need to take these huge steps in order to move through our life. Although I love my analogy, the little baby steps, after you take 10 of them, you turn around and you can see that you actually went 5 huge steps. Wow. Things don't have to be so bleak. You can create how much light you bring into your vat. You can create how much light you want to walk with once you've let go of your vat. And my vat is always going to be a part of me. And I'm so okay with that. I like the fact that I have a safe place to go to when I need it. In my mind's eye, because we all need a safe place to go to. And that's what we're all looking for. We're all looking to create that for ourselves. So, how many of you can actually relate to this? I'm sure that there's more than a few of you. So, let's talk about what's in your vat. Most vats have pain, shame, guilt, sadness, lower based energies. The things that we were told once or twice as a child that we've now carried and taken with us for our entire lives. And sometimes it's just once. It's just one time. And then we create all of these thoughts around. We give so much meaning to all the lower based energies. And yet we're all looking for the higher based, which is, love, acceptance, wisdom. I can keep going, and right now, mind. So it's about not hanging out with your ruminating thoughts, allowing them, accepting them as a part of you, and then putting them away. So you can go to them at any time you need them because they're always there. Everything is always available at all times to you. It is just as easy to tap into the frequency of love as it is to tap into the frequency of pain and shame and guilt. Just allowing that to marinate for you. Again, wow, all these in the vat, I certainly marinated in pain over and over and over again. Thinking, mind racing. You're listening to the Feel to Heal show with myself, Sharyn Nichols, on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we will discuss what's in your vat. We'll be right back.
At different times on our life journey, we can feel stuck and struggle with seeing our way through. What if the answer to the struggle is just to go deeper than the surface? By tuning in to Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show, with licensed marriage and family therapist and life guide Sharyn Nichols, you'll receive insight and guidance on exploring your feelings in order to heal yourself. Are you ready to create a more satisfying, peaceful, and successful life? Listen for the Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Mountain, and 3 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show, with licensed marriage and family therapist and life guide Sharyn Nichols. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also ask questions or comments by email by sending to Sharyn Nichols at feeltoheal.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back. You are listening to me, Sharyn Nichols, with the Feel to Heal show on the Inspired Choices Network. And today we are talking about what's in your vat. First, though, I want to talk a little bit about me. As you've heard multiple times, I'm a licensed marriage family therapist and a life guide, and I offer one-on-one sessions with clients, and I also offer packages for coaching, life guide, and I would love to hear from you. If anyone is interested, please contact me at Sharyn Nichols at feeltoheal.com. And now back to the show. We were talking about what's in your vat, and I feel that I need to mention sometimes your vat doesn't only belong to you. Sometimes your vat can be someone else's. So things don't have to be so bleak because you can create your vat. So now I do have a vat of happiness, and I do have a vat of love that I go and stand in sometimes when I need to. It allows me to sort of energize myself and give me the strength and the support that I need in order to do what I do, to hold the space, to just allow. So if your vat doesn't solely belong to you, is it ancestral? Did you take it on consciously or unconsciously? Is it a conditioning of your childhood? So ancestral can be from generations, and it can also just be what you learned, observed from your parents. Not good or bad. This is not the blame game, not blaming parents, because your parents got it from their parents who got it from their parents. So what we get to do this lifetime is break that cycle of the conditioning that is about blame, shame, guilt, fear, anxiety, worry. So classical conditioning, learned about the theories of learning in my master's program in psychology, always fascinated me. And I was actually fortunate to be taught by a professor who had actually studied with Pavlov. And so I, of course, have to mention Pavlov and classical conditioning. So Pavlov worked with dogs, and he experimented with dogs and food, and realized that the dogs were salivating when they saw the bowl, when they heard the bell, and then when they also saw the person bringing their food. So they would sometimes salivate when the person would walk in without even the food. So we've been classically conditioned to start salivating for food. And I'm being a bit sarcastic. So conditioning, though, is beneficial, and it's an important part of how we create ourselves and future expectations. So it's always going to be about finding that balance for you and where you are. Conditioning, an example of conditioning would be, I have a client who was never able to please his father. He could recite every single time he came home with an A, and his father would say, why wasn't it an A plus? He would say, Dad, I hit the home run and I won the game. Why didn't you hit two? I mean, it was 2 home runs. There was always more outside, more to be gotten in order to receive the one thing that we're all looking for, which is love and acceptance. Well, it's just one thing is love. So in there is also acceptance and understanding, and it's all love. So that was a heavy vat that he swam in. We spent a lot of time talking about not being good enough and how it actually served him in his life by then now not having to perform or achieve, because if he wasn't feeling good enough about himself, why should he even bother? And my supposition is that's also where a lot of depression comes from, sadness, thinking about the past. So he would ruminate on all the things that he didn't do. I took a workshop years ago, and the leader of the workshop said, okay, so tomorrow I want you all to come in with all of your mistakes and all the things you did wrong. And he shared the story that the next day, I wasn't in that workshop, someone did come in with things like that they did wrong, like that were broken, that they had made. And I just was like, wow, whoosh, what an incredible visual. We all have things that we look at that we still keep around to remind us. And then we also have in our head that we keep ruminating on over and over again, that just tears us down and allows us to stay in the lower based energies. Let's raise our vibration. It's about the balance. Conditioning can be a good thing in terms of, we learned that when we wake up in the morning, we should probably eat some food before we go off about our day, because we're going to need fuel. So we wake up, take care of our business, eat some food, and then start our day. And then we come home and maybe we should eat again because we worked hard all day. So our body needs fuel. So we've been conditioned to put fuel in our bodies. When fear is when conditioning is not good, it's when we're swimming in the anger and the bitterness and the frustration that our needs aren't being met. So with conditioning, there has to be deconditioning. And that is the way out of the vat. That, in fact, is the ladder that you need to swim to in order to pull yourself up. Again, we're talking about thoughts, and you're going to have your thoughts, you're going to have your feelings. So your thoughts create the liquid that you're swimming in. And then when you get to the ladder, you now have a choice. You can make the same choice and not step on the ladder, or you can start climbing it. And then, of course, we make that even bigger than it needs to be. Oh, the ladder's way too tall. Or, oh no, I may fall off. Or what happens if I get to the top? Then what do? I'm not going to be able to get back down. So if you have too much fear or anger or bitterness or frustration, I hear you. You're so conditioned to not listen to the higher vibrational voices that are going on in your head. And that's how I stayed stuck in my vat. And I realized that only I could start my way up the ladder, and that I had control over actually how many rungs I needed to be on. Like, I could create my actions and my reactions. And once I realized that, the power and the freedom that it allowed me, it wasn't easy. It's very easy for me to say these things, and I hear you. Well, yeah, of course, it's so easy to just say it. Although actually put it in practice and actually do it, I get how difficult that can be. Only you, though, can do it for you. And I have a feeling that you have someone in your life who would gladly help you up the ladder, and then even help you once you get off of it. It's about identifying where you are, taking responsibility, acknowledging how you got there, blaming those who you need to blame, and then let it go. Because, like I said, your parents, their parents, their parents, part of it is part of you is them. And so you can choose. It's always a choice. You can choose to continue to blame or let it go. It is that simple. It's very simple for me to say, I hear you. It's not that easy to implement, unless, of course, you choose it to. Because your thoughts and your feelings aren't really going to change. You have 100% control over your actions and your reactions, even if you think you don't. So your mind is so powerful. Do you get that you can create the exact same scenario that I just created for you? I'm assuming that you know exactly what your vat is made of, and you probably also know exactly where the ladder is, should you choose to swim there. So that being said, it's time for another break. And I am so excited to continue to talk about what's in your vat. And I have some other ideas as to what you can do once you get out of your vat. See you back in a couple of minutes. You're listening to the Feel Temple
At different
Show.
times on our life journey, we can feel stuck and struggle with seeing our way through. What if the answer to the struggle is just to go deeper than the surface? By by tuning in to Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show with licensed marriage and family therapist and life guide Sharyn Nichols. You'll receive insight and guidance on exploring your feelings in order to heal yourself. Are you ready to create a more satisfying, peaceful, and successful life? Listen for the Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Mountain, and 3 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show with licensed marriage and family therapist and life guide Sharyn Nichols. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also ask questions or comments by email by sending to Sharyn Nichols at feeltoheal.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back. You are listening to the Feel to Heal show with me, Sharyn Nichols, and today's topic is what is in your vat. Please join me in the chat room with your questions and comments. You can join me live by going to InspiredChoicesNetwork.com and click on the chat room on the menu bar. And from there, our incredible producers will guide you so you can be an audience member in the recording studio with me. Please come play. You can also listen through the Inspired Choices Network app and click on the shows tab and scroll to the bottom and then click on the chat room. So before we went to break, I was talking about your vat and conditioning and how our thoughts and our feelings shape our vat. And so what if you don't know what's in your vat? How do you think you could figure it out? I have a feeling that multiple ways to do this. There are multiple ways to figure out exactly what's in your vat. I'm going to say the thing that you complain about the most to others, or the ruminating thoughts that you have that you're constantly thinking about, would be a good indicator. And then just based on human behavior and human beings and my vast study of them over the past 25 years, and then the universality of just being in a group, which we all are as humans, is that there's a finite amount of themes, and probably trauma is the biggest one that may be preventing you from figuring out what's in your vat, and your vat could just be filled with trauma. Multiple things can be done if that's the case. With trauma, there's somatic breath work, there is acupuncture, there's hypnotherapy, all things that I may get into going forward, although these are really good ways in terms of helping you get out of the vat, if in fact you're swimming in trauma. So why do we hold on to things? And is it a misconception that by holding on to something that we are actually protected and safe? I love Marie Kondo. If it doesn't bring you happiness, let it go. We've been told to do that with items in our homes, our clothes, our tchotchkes, all of that. If it doesn't bring you happiness, let it go. Well, why don't we apply that to our thoughts as well? I had a client that week after week she would come in and talk about how her mother ruined her life. There was so much trauma in her mother's childhood and in her mother's adulthood that her mother was holding on to. She placed so much on my client that my client was having such a hard time separating out what belonged to her, my client, or to her mother. That's where the ancestral part comes in. So she didn't realize that she was swimming in her own vat, although tethered to her mother's. Wow. And it was so simple. All she had to do was climb out and then untether herself from both of them. Yes, it may take work and it may seem hard. Again, why do we always have to make everything so hard? Why can't things just be easy? I'll come back to that. What we did a lot of talking and visualizing to help her get out of her vat and then untethering herself. So she literally had been carrying, she was in her late 60s. She literally had been carrying boxes of her mother's things from house to house every time she moved, which wasn't that often. And why was she holding on to them? She couldn't even tell me. She couldn't tell herself. It was what she was supposed to do. It's what she was conditioned to do, to hold on to the past. Past wasn't serving her. She knew that. That's why she was in therapy. Although she also knew that she was in so much pain that she needed physical pain now, along with the mental pain, that it just needed to stop. The pain pushes until the vision pulls. So we created a new vision together. We processed her letting go of her mother's things, literally taking them to the dump, putting them in the recycle bin, whatever she needed to do, or burning them. Well, probably not legal to do that anywhere. Anyway, doing what she needed to do in order to release and let go of the past, which is part of the tethering, that was holding her stuck in place. I know it sounds crazy. It is that simple. She just had to let it go. And none of the things were making her happy. So she just had to let it go. So she did let it go. And we've been so conditioned to believe that everything needs to be hard. We should only be satisfied if something was hard won. We think so much less of ourselves if something came easy. Oh, that was so easy. So what if it was easy? You still did it. That's what I'm talking about with the baby steps. The baby steps are easy. It's the hard steps. And I'm assuming that some of you had a reaction to baby steps. Wow. Why would she be taking baby steps? She should take big, huge steps because she wants to be as far behind it, far away from it as possible. Baby steps. Because I figured out for myself that it was much easier to take a little step than a big step. And the big step looked so ominous and huge that I would be so afraid to take the big step that I would stay frozen. So this was my way of unfreezing myself and allowing my life to just flow in a completely different way than I ever thought I could possibly imagine. So getting out of the vat now was one thing, and now doing something else was another thing. So like I mentioned, I always know where my vat is. I can always go to it when I need it. Although each moment that I have a choice because we all have always a choice. Even the most oppressed human being on the planet still always has a choice. May not like the choice, may not be in alignment with who they are and what they think they should have or be, although we always have a choice. Every moment of every day, it's always choose. Choose. So I decided with my baby steps that I was going to choose to be happy. Took me a while to be happy. I was going to be happier. I wasn't going to allow the weight of that I was dragging to hold me back. Again, only I could do it. And I can tell you till I'm blue in the face how many times you should, how many times you could, and here's the path. Here it is. I'm going to lay it out in front of you, step by step, until you are actually ready to climb the ladder and come out the other side and let go of what you have been allowing. Yes, you have been allowing it, even though it may look like it belongs to somebody else, and it's so easy to blame somebody else for where you are. You've been allowing it. Again, it's a choice. And I hear you. You have your thoughts and you have your feelings, and those really aren't going to change. I still go to that place of I'm not good enough, and I'm just so sad, and I can't do, and all of that. I still have those thoughts. I now just sort of watch them go by, because yes, they're a part of me. And I don't want to let go of a part of me that was so significant. I've now just allowed and now integrated, so I don't seem so fractal, which is why I can now look around and see that this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I've been talking this way for a really long time, and now I get this incredible opportunity to share all of my thoughts and my feelings, and then share how I've changed my actions and reactions. I have plenty of people in my life, as I'm assuming you all do, that poke you and that elicit those lower based energy thoughts that we have. And so it's about sending them love and compassion, and knowing that they too have been conditioned, much like you were, to believe that they should be guilty, that they should feel ashamed, that they should just be in so much pain because that's what they were born into. I mean, I can go on and on about all the songs that have been written about being born and about love and life. And isn't it incredible? You only get one life. And it's always your choice as to how you want to show up. I've had certain points in my life where I've dressed for the event knowing that it was going to be life-changing. And I'm not talking about my wedding, and I'm not talking, obviously, those things, or first day of work. It's other things when I checked in with my gut and got past my fear and got past my pain and just allowed my life to unfold as I always wanted it to. I have been my own worst enemy. So, with that being said, I am now going to bring us to our next commercial break. And you are listening to the Feel to Heal show with me, Sharyn Nichols. And we've been talking about what's in your vat. And when we come back, we're going to still talk more about your vat and what freedom actually can look like and feel like. And I look forward to seeing you on the other side.
At different times on our life journey, we can feel stuck and struggle with seeing our way through. What if the answer to the struggle is just to go deeper than the surface? By tuning in to Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show, with licensed marriage and family therapist and life guide Sharyn Nichols, you'll receive insight and guidance on exploring your feelings in order to heal yourself. Are you ready to create a more satisfying, peaceful, and successful life? Listen for the Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Mountain, and 3 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show with licensed marriage and family therapist and life guide Sharyn Nichols. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also ask questions or comments by email by sending to Sharyn Nichols at feeltoheal.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols and What's in Your Vat. And so, until you are actually ready to climb the ladder and come out the other side and let go of what you have been allowing, nothing is ever going to change. You get to continue to stay stuck and continue to stay in the lower based energies of blame, shame, guilt. Freedom. I know I mentioned that before break. True freedom is knowing that you have 100% control over no control. Think about that. You have 100% control over having no control. This has sort of been my motto that I've been living by lately. I've just been allowing and just going with the flow. And that's what's allowed me to do these shows. They're just coming through me. You can imagine the self-talk that I could go through. Who am I? What do I know? I don't have enough to say. Who's going to listen? I mean, I can go on and on. I'm assuming so could you. You could probably fill in even more questions for me that I'm not even thinking about. I get to allow. I get to just be. And yes, I am the sum of all of my experiences as you are. Although letting go of swimming in the vat, letting go of being tethered to the vat is the way through. You always have a choice. Part of the conditioning that we get is to not listen to ourselves. Think about that one. We're told that we don't actually know what we're talking about or that we know anything. And we probably didn't from the adult perspective, from our parents or teachers or grandparents or whatever adult was in your life that helped shaped you. into who you are and instilled the conditioned responses. It's about deconditioning. So it's about choosing a different response when the trigger, because yes, I'll now use that word, when the trigger comes up, it's choosing a different response. And it's allowing yourself to choose for you and not allow any of those voices in your head. And I don't mean the schizophrenic, crazy voices. They're there. We all have voices in our head. Some of them are of our younger selves. Some of them are of the parent, grandparent, teacher, the things that we just took on. And part of the conditioning is we had a thought and then we kept looking for the evidence to keep creating that. I've mentioned this before in terms of if you believe that you are stupid because you were told once, or even talking about being selfish, if you were told you were selfish, you were going to continue to look for the evidence. And this is what keeps the walls up in the vat. This is what keeps you swimming in the vat. Again, it's always a choice. You always get to choose whether you want to get out of the vat. There's also something else I'm going to throw in. I'm actually quite grateful for my vat. My vat kept me safe. My vat allowed me to hold myself back, sometimes in a positive way. See, you can always put a spin. Again, it's a choice. You can always choose the perspective you want to look at something. So now I am in a low vat that's very easy for me to step over, and it's just filled with love. I would love for you all to come and join me in my vat of love. I mean, wouldn't that be great? Because it's always a choice. You get to choose. Come, create your own vat. Climb up the wall. Jump down into the vat of love. Who's to say that that's not as crazy as what I'm saying? I hear you that you're exhausted. Please stop. Just stop. Stop with the exhaustion. You don't need it anymore. Start talking about what's in your vat. Reach out to a friend. Come to therapy. Do some other breath work and other things. Make different choices. Do something different. So next week's show, thank you for listening. Next week's show is all about having the hard conversations. So why does a simple sentence, "we need to talk," often make us quake in our boots? Next week, I will be sharing tips and tools as to how to make it easier. So remember that you always have a choice. Let go of swimming in the vat and then untethering yourself. Please climb out. Please climb up the ladder and climb out and join me in my vat of love. See you next week. Thanks. It's been a great show. I'm Sharyn Nichols, and you've been listening to Feel to Heal on the Inspired Choices Network.
Thank you for choosing to listen to the Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show. Sharyn Nichols will return next Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Mountain, and 3 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, give up the struggle, feel all you need to feel, and make this week your best one yet.